This is Brampton Focus. My name is Michael A. Charbon, and I have the opportunity to sit down on a one-on-one basis and speak to the newly re-elected mayor of the town of Caledon, Allan Thompson. In this part two, we're going to continue our discussion on the legalization and sale of cannabis, of course, the amalgamation topic, and the GTA West corridor. First of all, once again, thank you for allowing us to come to your beautiful city of Caledon and here sitting in your chambers. When we left in part one, we were talking a little bit about the legalization and the sale of cannabis. One of the unknowns is the downloading. What is the cost going to be for a municipality? And that brings up, although there's moral questions too, but the cost of having a location that does a sale of cannabis. One looks at what is it going to cost? You can opt in but never opt out, but if you opt out, you still have the opportunity to opt in. Your town of Caledon, where are they, and how have you evaluated some of these mysterious costs and implications?
We've definitely looked at it, Michael, and I think too is what we found is it's even in our council report that came to committee last week, and we're going to ratify it tomorrow night, is to opt out at this point in time. Again, is the costs. We know that even for the policing costs, we're only hitting about 15% of where we need to be. People can get cannabis if they need it now. They can get it through Canada Post, and it can be like growing 4 plants at home. Disposing of it is another big question, right? So where you go with that. So I know we have some challenges, a lot of stuff. It's new for everybody. It isn't that people can't get it, they can. You look at the province right now, only regulating 25 locations anyway, so what's the chance of Caledon having one? Is pretty slim, but I think
people say if Caledon isn't in the mix, you're losing out on tax dollars. But if you defer that mix, you can still come in. But once you're in, there's no backing out, right?
There's no backing out. So I think what we need to do is be very cautious. We've definitely heard loud and clear from the community. And, it's a mix 50-50 right at the moment, even on the surveys and everything that we've run. But I think a lot of people look at it, yes, we can look at it from a revenue, but not at the risk and the health and the welfare of our residents. And I think that's our big question, and I think that's how all council feels right now, is we do not have enough answers that we can definitely say, yes, we're opting in. So at this point, we're opting out because we need to learn a lot more and have a better understanding of what's really going on out there.
Some municipalities are saying the reason why they're opting out is they want to see what other cities are experiencing and then have a more educated point of view to then move forward. To some, that is a cautious point of view, but it may be for a city or for a town the size of Caledon is a smart way to go.
Well, I think it is, and I think you even look at some of the bigger municipalities than ourselves, like Mississauga opting out, Markham, Richmond Hill. I think a lot of us just do not have confidence, and I think it sends a message back to government, they haven't got it right. And I really think that's where it is. It's dangling out here, we're going to give you money for getting in. It isn't near enough.
Well, it was an election promise, and we can say that. And there's an election coming up, so we'll see if the people's referendum is going to one toke over the line, as they say in that famous song. Let's switch topics here. We talk about salt, and we talk about roads. And roads is a big issue, particularly in the town of Caledon. I remember speaking to you, and there was a contentious issue of how salt is damaging, and what your position was, and you said, well, you saw those white lines on the roads, and I said, yeah, I always thought it was liquid salt, and you informed me that it's beet juice.
Correct.
There's not enough people that understand that. So give us a little bit of a snapshot from Caledon's point of view. I mean, you have horrid weather at times, back and forth, so you need something. What's your position on salt, and how does the beet juice aspect follow into that? Because I think there's a lot of people who don't know.
Well, I think there's different modes on how to do different responsibility, and the technology's changed so fast. And as you heard me speak earlier about broadband and a digital economy, here's another thing that our snowplows, we have weather stations all in different points throughout Caledon, throughout Peel Region. We work with the Peel Region on this, sharing data, so we can get the temperature of the road. The trucks will know by the temperature of the road on how much salt that is going to be required, so we can reduce, we've been able to reduce our salt usage down to about 34%, which is huge to what it is just layering it on because we know a storm is coming. But weather like what we have today, like it's 20 plus below today, well, salt's not even going to work. It's sand, but I think a lot of people realize.
But sand, they say it's going to clog up the sewage system. But the beet juice aspect, beet
juice is our first
Right.
line
You
of
lay it
defense.
down.
But instead of putting salt on knowing that it's going to call, the first as the temperature starts to drop, the roads, you have it under control. As long as the roads are bare, that beet juice will do an awesome job. But once you start to get snow layering on, then you need the salt to burn it down. And then as it gets really colder, that's when you need to increase the usage of sand to make up for it. But I really say through the careful monitoring that both the Region of Peel and all 3 municipalities have done here, we're trend leaders on good management. That's why you haven't seen the lawsuits coming through on damage to farmland with salt. There are certain pockets that we do that we can't turn back the clock. But yeah, over usage of salt really has an impact on our soil conditions and where we grow our food from.
Interesting.
So it's very important.
Let's switch topics again.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about amalgamation. I mean, there's been a lot of talk that once the region of Peel as a whole, Peel region, that's Caledon, Mississauga, and Brampton, once it goes over 2 million, it's going to be called the City of Peel. And there has been one mayor, Mayor Bonnie Crombie, has said that she wants to be separate of that. When we hear about amalgamation, Hazel McCallion is part of an investigative team. That's just not her only thing, but there's been a whole rumbling now. When you look at the town of Caledon and you hear that word amalgamation, is there a little trepidation? I mean, are you going to get lost in the shuffle? Where do you sit? And what is your opinion of what Mississauga should participate in that or be a separate entity?
Well, I think it's premature to say a separate entity. I think we really need to learn to understand. Peel Region just received an award last week. Only 5 businesses in all of North America have been able to achieve this. The only government that got a platinum award for good governance. So, and really good finding efficiencies.
Was the Region of Peel.
Was the Region of
Yes.
Peel.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you want to blow up something that's a model to everybody in North America, which is a challenge. But we also know that the province is looking at trying to flatten out municipalities to a single tier. So how does that look? So does it mean it is the City of Peel? Or does it mean that Bonnie's going to get her separate nation? I don't know. But I really think that all of us as mayors and as councillors and everybody else, we need to put our heads together to figure out, is there efficiencies and can they be found? And to really understand. And here at the town of Caledon, we've got wards running 7 years in a row. The only lower tier municipality has been able to accomplish good record keeping, good financial order, and good. So we're good stewards of finding efficiencies ourselves here as the town. So we got a lower tier and an upper tier that are really doing a good job. So my taxpayer is saying, well, what's the problem here? But I know where government is. They want to layer it out that they're only dealing with one level of government. They've already done that. You watch what has happened to Chatham-Kent, Hamilton-Wentworth. They brought in Flamborough. You look at Brent County, Norfolk County.
So has there been successes? Has there been a true savings? Has there been an improvement because of that?
I think it's an improvement for the government having to deal with one layer of government.
What about
I don't
the
know the
people?
efficiencies. Well, I think if you talk to them, I don't think they've really found the efficiencies there.
But isn't Peel
as
already
local-
amalgamated? I mean, you talk about police, you talk about fire, you talk about many other services. It would actually cost more to put it separate?
Well, it's the same thing as a lot of people said for the longest time isn't it time for Mississauga and Brampton Transit to come together and make a regional transit system like how York Region's found efficiencies. So yes, I think there's a lot of things. And that transit, should we be looking at it as a Peel system or should it be a greater Toronto area or should it be a greater Golden Horseshoe transit type system to find the efficiencies? I know all as mayors would like to control to make sure you get local pickup and local services, but to find the efficiencies to serve the taxpayer, to get it down that it's affordable. Yes, I think this is what's forcing everything to come together. It's a very complex issue. To break the Region of Peel apart, it'll take years.
So let's just take your comment about transportation. Let's talk about the GTA West Corridor.
Right.
That's an important connector. That truly is the gateway of being able to get business to and from the town of Caledon. Where do you see that developing now in your second term, 4 years? How is that going to affect the town of Caledon?
Well, I think, first of all, a lot of us, between all the municipalities that have been involved, and I think you've heard me talk about this before, we all went together to be part of the EA. So all our environmental assessments, even for our roads and bridges locally, that have been encompassed in that whole plan across Caledon, like Brampton, Halton Hills, Halton Region, Peel Region, and Vaughan in the city, and York Region, we've all been caught up in that same vortex. And it was almost, that EEA was almost completed the last term. And the province went and canceled it, not realizing that we had almost like 14 million tied up into this thing. And we're all shared a lot of data, good information for all of us, not just for the corridor, but for future infrastructure we're doing. It was smart thinking at the time, but we never ever expected the province to cancel it. So what they're doing is they're finishing the EA. What it means is if it means a road corridor, does it mean that they're running a rail too? I know the provincial government that's now in power has been looking, at a complete service road that runs from Kirby Road at Highway 400 right through to Guelph and down to Fort Erie, and run the CN rail as well.
Well, you were a proponent of that. I remember having several great discussions. You were talking about the land to the side of the railway, which was an access already cut, and basically that was already set up. So, I mean, this GTA West Corridor is something critical to the success and future development of the town of Caledon.
Well, to me, it isn't about today, and it isn't about tomorrow. What it means is about our children's grandchildren to be able to thrive in a vibrant economy. And I think that's what we have to look at. You look at the 407 really benefited Markham. The QEW and the 403 benefited Mississauga and Oakville, like you wouldn't believe.
Well, it was a connector.
Oh, it absolutely is a connector, but that's how you bring the good jobs. That's how you bring, you want Mississauga celebrates on the high-tech research and everything, the innovation they got. Well, look where they're all sitting along. The 401, the 407, the 403, it's all those big corridors.
Well, in part one of our discussion, you talked about some of the big businesses that are coming to Caledon. A town of Caledon has to have services to be able to get those businesses in and out and continue to build. You've got lots of land to be able to develop here too.
We do, and not only that is, it's a double-edged sword for us in Caledon, because that land that you are talking about is agricultural land. Really, in the whole big scheme of things, if you look across the province, we're not even a 0.5%.
What about that Greenbelt discussion that we're talking about now? I mean, and the Premier Ford talked about Greenbelt and releasing Greenbelt or not releasing. Do you have any sense of how that's coming down?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I know Bill 66 is helping municipalities that have been Greenbelted completely, that have no ability to grow their tax base. I think he's thrown them a bone there. But I know there's a lot of discussion on Bill 66 that we've answered back with concerns, and especially with public consultation, is very important. And I know
there's a lot of emotions involved.
Oh, there's a lot of emotions, and a lot of people that are very, environmentally conscious are saying, well, reject it. Well, rejecting it doesn't solve the problem. The majority government's going to vote for this bill. We got to make sure we get the bill right. And how you do that is consult.
So let's put a bow on this part two. We want to talk about the region of Peel as we're concluding our second part here. There's a whole bunch of new rookie politicians who are sitting on the region of Peel. Very excited, well educated. They're not how one would say long-term politicians. They're new to the game. One would say you're a veteran. So when you look at the region of Peel and you look at now the development with some increased seats for the city of Brampton, where do you see the region of Peel and how do you see that government working?
I think it's going to work extremely well. I think the talent that we have at the table is good. It's good to have change up all the time. And you need new blood.
Because many of the old guard left.
Yes, Caledon has a new one sitting at the last time. There's four, there was five of us new. One was a return, and I guess I'm a veteran, but stepped up into the mayor's position. But we had three brand new regional councillors last time, and it worked well. If they're willing to listen and learn, the two big L's, they'll do very well. And I've so far seen the engagement around the budget. It's good. Two is I'm seeing Brampton working together as a team, which is good. Mississauga always has, and Caledon we do. But also at the end of the day, we're there from those municipalities, but we have to think with the regional focus. We have to, yes, we bring our personal lens, but we're still regional councillors, and we have to think as a region. And I think as long as everybody brings their individuality to the table, I think that's what I love about local government, is this is where things happen. This is where you get things done. And two is you're an individual.
You're not obligated to a party line.
Exactly.
So final question for you here. When you look forward to this, your second term in the next 4 years, what are you looking to accomplish for the town of Caledon, and what are some of the highlights that you will hopefully celebrate with your constituents?
Well, I think the most important thing for all of us is the official plan. Not only is it going to happen in at Peel Region, it's very important we get that done in a timely fashion, but also systematically move the Caledon's official plan along with it, because this is really important to Caledon. it's our future. We're going to double in population. I think a lot of residents are worried as, are we going to lose our identity? Are we going to lose what's really special to us? Or are we going to get swallowed into a big vortex? And I really think through a lot of consultation and a lot of work, I really think we can come up with something that we can find a really nice blend to keep our community as whole, but also embrace the growth that we have to take. But I think what I really want to make sure we do is be able to expand our employment tax base, because 80% of Caledon's protected. To make our farmers viable and our residents here to be able to afford to live here, we really have to grow that employment base. And I think through being a connected community and bringing broadband and fiber to everybody's door, I think we're going to have the best of the Peel region can have.
Mayor Allan Thompson, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. You've always been very open and available to us, and we appreciate that. You've been watching Brampton Focus. My name is Michael A. Charbon. Thank you very much for watching.